Welcome to today's video where I want to talk to you about colored pencils. Now, if you're a beginner, you probably just don't know very much about colored pencils. And of course, you can always look for information on colored pencils by typing in history of colored pencils on the internet, and there's a wonderful amount of information. But in the basic things to know, that's what I want to share with you, is that, well, they haven't been around that long, not even 100 years. So colored pencils are a very new art medium, but they're really great. And what I want to tell you about them is that there's a lot of different grades. And as a beginner, you're going to want to know something about those grades, because when you go to buy colored pencils, it can be confusing. Okay, which ones do I get? The price range is huge. And you can get some at the big box stores, some at the dollar store. Well, what's the difference between those and the ones that are at art stores? Well, this is my little easy bucket of color. And this is made up of inexpensive pencils. I've got some Crayola in here, a couple of off brands, and they've just been very handy to have around for just kind of casual and fun coloring. And the less expensive brands generally have more wax and a lower grade of pigment. So that's the first thing to know. What more wax does is that it makes the core of your colored pencil harder, and there can be advantages to that. It can be a good thing to have that hardness so that it holds a point a little longer. You're not going to get as vivid a color as softer pencils that have less wax and a higher grade of pigment. And mostly that's what you're paying for. You're paying for a higher grade of pigment that has more saturated, richer, brighter, more beautiful colors. And you're getting pencils that have less wax. And there's some other things inside there too, binders and fillers. And so the more you're adding those extra things that aren't pigment, that's why you can't get those really vivid, great colors. So this is just, I've used these quite a bit, and some are getting shorter, but they're it's really great to just have a very simple bucket of color, as it were. So the first thing you want to think about is what your uses are. So if you're just learning, or if you're coloring in coloring books, I mean, golly, get something that's inexpensive and get you started. So I'll just show you a couple of different things on my screen here. So there's my basic bucket of color. And what I have in here is I made little paper sleeves to kind of hold the blues together, the greens together, the reds, yellows, and so on, so that the bucket doesn't shift around too much. And as I said, you know, Crayola's come out with some nice sets. You get both of these, you've got 48 colors. And in another video, I'll show you about layering, which will expand your color repertoire with less colors. And then, of course, there's my favorite, and that is the Prismacolor. Another company that makes really high quality is Derwent out of England. Derwent. Lovely pencils. That's just a personal choice thing with artists. I would have been happy with either. I just happened to be there at the right time at an art store when this set was on sale. There's 150, and I've used Prismacolor for many, many, many years. Love them. They're soft, vibrant, saturated colors. They blend really well. And that's one of the things with your less expensive groups, is they're not necessarily going to blend as well. And of course, this makes a difference in what paper you use as well. If you use a strong paper with a smooth surface, it's easier to blend than if you have a rough surface. Really, the simple thing is that if you want to experiment with buying different colors and you're just getting started, you know, there's nothing wrong with going with a very inexpensive sets, getting familiar with color. I'll do a video on some of that blending, like I said. You could do some erasing with colored pencils, but I mean, after all, drawing and painting with colored pencils and drawing, generally, you don't want to be doing a lot of erasing. You want to think about how much wax, how hard the pencil is. Oh, and here's another handy tip is that say you drop your pencils, and this is, it's going to happen. And you find that when you go to sharpen the pencil, the core wants to come out. Well, what's happened is by dropping the pencil, your core has broken up, it's fractured inside. A really easy fix for that is push the core back in, and you can put your pencils in the sunshine for a while, maybe an hour or so, and that will heat up and soften the wax so that it rebinds itself. I've read, I haven't done it, but I have read where if you put a broken core pencil in the microwave for maybe 5 to 10 seconds, not very much, you just want to melt that wax binding and binder with the pigment just enough that it rebinds itself inside the core. So that's a little quick tip. Look that up on the internet and find out a little bit more about it. But it does work. I've done it with the sunshine. It's a nice hot sun. So I hope that helped you, and thanks for watching.